Hey, my name's Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. Most of us don't even have gym memberships. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man, nor do we have a ton of time to train. And we don't need it because we're achieving amazing things without it. We are Garage Gym Athletes, and these are our stories. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Howdy, Jared.
Dude, new way every time.
I'm just trying to shake things up a little bit. You know, it can't be too predictable.
And with us also, I'm pretty excited. We have Al Brooke. What's up, Al?
Hey, guys.
All the way from Australia. So he was on season 2, and he's been with Garage Gym Athlete for a long time. So I am really excited to dive into this, get some updates. So Al, for anybody who hasn't caught your first episode, for anyone listening, first go back and do that. Just give us a quick intro, though, who you are, what you do, and how you train.
Yeah, I'm 46 years old. OG, that's right, GGA OG. I've got 2 kids, 10 and 7 now, so they're a little bit younger back when we did the original podcast. I work as a national sales rep for an IT company, so I do a lot of travel for work. Gets me out and about. I've been in the garage now working out, I think, probably about 5 or 6 years, and I think we're getting up 2.5, 3 years with GGA.
That's awesome,
So
man.
that's me. I live in Brisbane, Australia, which we like to call variously Brisneyland or Bris Vegas, depending on your mood, which has probably got a climate that's pretty similar to where you are in Texas.
Yeah,
it's nice
I think.
And warm.
Yeah,
subtropical.
Very, very similar.
Yeah.
We were talking about that ahead of time. Texas basically doesn't have a winter. Texans will say it has a winter, but for people who have actual winters, like in the Northeast and northern part of the, let's just say, world, those are some real winters. I think Al and I we don't suffer much from getting too cold or having our hands stick to barbells and all the other stories we've heard in the winter months. But it does get wicked hot there, right? Like it's insanely hot in Australia.
Muggy.
We get a lot of humidity as well. We're pretty near the coast, so yeah. Sort of January, February for us is challenging, but most of the time I work out in the wee small hours. I think like most people in GGA, so it tends to be bearable that way. Sometimes on Saturdays in the summertime that you really meet yourself just doing the warm up.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. I think some of my hardest Murphs have nothing to do with the time and everything to do with how hot and humid it was that day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, man, I love seeing you chime in on the group, kind of throwing in some of that OG wisdom for some of the newer athletes, sometimes people getting into it. So you have been with Garage Gym Athlete, like you said, 2.5, 3 years. I'd love to just get an update on your perspective of Garage Gym Athlete and what you've enjoyed most over your time being here.
Oh, that's an easy question. It's a community. Absolutely. I think that was one of the things that drew me in when I first started. And I think if you go back and listen to the podcast, I started with one of the free programs, and then I did. I wasn't doing the online piece. That was reasonably new. And then jumped in, and that was one of the first things that struck me was everyone was really supportive. So I felt obligated to give back, and I think what's really amazed me is how much it's really grown over the past couple of years, and the amount of people and people everywhere, and very different people who just get on. And I mean, it's Happy Fit Week this week. And that's my favourite time in GGA because you get all the videos up on the site, and it just, after a long, hard cycle, that really pumps you up again. So, yeah, I think the community is probably by far the stickiest part about GGA.
Yeah, and that's actually my favorite part as well. I know I've said that before, but what's interesting, I just realized this today. So I normally, there's normally a lot of lead up to Fit Week, and obviously I start talking about it and we do podcasts about it. But I normally I do Facebook Lives. I make sure everyone knows, because there's a lot of new people like, hey, you submit your videos, you get a free shirt, all this stuff. And I haven't done any of that this time, really just because we've been so busy with the actual, the programming, recording these episodes, other episodes. We have some trips coming up. And so I haven't had the time to do that recently. And it just kind of happened on its own. Everyone, like all the people who are there, who've been here before, like, yeah, it's time to post some videos. So they did that. New people saw it. They started posting their videos. And I was like, wow, this is really like just an amazing community, and everyone really is supportive. And I love seeing that. So I think that's my favorite piece as well, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think most people go through the same journey. And I mean, yeah, there's the learnings as you go, I think. And there's, people new to garages and people new to working out, and then people who are new to the GGA system. So I think, yeah, it's interesting. You can kind of see an evolution of people when they come in, from the start, because I've, reflected in my experience, and you kind of go, yeah, there's a lot of tips and tricks to pick up. And yeah, I think it's easy to learn from the wisdom of others. That's what I love about the podcast too, is you just get some really wicked tips from different people and different ideas.
Yeah, we've got some crazy OGs and people that do some awesome DIY stuff, or just has new ideas that even we don't think of, because we're pretty set with our gym. We don't really do much anymore, but then people are always joining with different situations, different setups, different climates, and we're just like, well, we don't deal with that, but at least there's other people that are doing it too. So yeah, we've kind of grown enough to that to covering all bases, so somebody can relate somewhere.
Yeah, it's good.
Because there's definitely the building phase of a garage gym that, like, after you've built it and you don't need much, it's like you can't give much advice after that. It's like, yeah, well, go get the equipment. We'll help you afterwards, But I want to jump to kind of what you have been up to, or, maybe what's changed, any new insights, anything like that, anything that's changed for you, because you were on season 2. We're now season 9. So what's changed?
Wow.
Any updates you have, from then to now?
Yeah, look, I think probably motivations change over time as well. I mean, when I first started, I think I was pretty much established, as based on the fit tests and things like that. I had a couple of competitor marks, so like most people, you're probably initial and being reasonably competitive. I wanted to hit those benchmarks, and you do progress, and so once you hit most of those marks, you start looking for different things, but also it gets a bit harder to progress over time as you do it. And I think my situation really hasn't changed. I've got a busy family and work life, so for me, it's those 4 hours a week plus possibly a Saturday, and if I miss one, then I make it up on Saturday. So I don't actually do anything outside of those hours in the wee small hours, and so trying to make that as efficient as possible and try and maintain and progress different marks in your fitness and strength becomes challenging. So for me now, I probably pick one or two aspects of the training. I'll still do all the training, but what I've been doing more recently is I might do every second Meet Yourself Saturday and do the Sexy Saturday, and this one's been really more around working on my clean and clean and jerks to get better at those. Or again, running was a big focus for me a couple of cycles ago. So, I'd rather, I still do all the runs, but anything less than about 5Ks, I would wear a vest and run with that. That'll improve your running.
Yeah. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. I think just pick one or two things that you really want to work on. And I think also some of those long-term goals. I know you've done some really great stuff on goal setting. I'm probably just more of an immediate focus. I want to, what's the one thing I want to do this cycle and work with that and try and continue to progress the other marks as well. They just, and they do progress, but sometimes, on the day, you won't always get that PR, whereas in the first couple of cycles, if you're fresh into GGA, you'll find that you'll progress really quickly.
I think that's a good point that each cycle is, and I mean, we do a variety of everything, but each cycle going in, if you just really want to focus on one or two things and do the rest of the work, but really be mentally dial it in for the two things each cycle, then I mean, we've gone over a study before that can actually make a big difference in how you progress because you're mentally dialed on. And then the next cycle, pick two other things to really focus and dial in on, and even do extra accessory work if you really need to, but no need to look at every single thing and even get down about not improving on every single thing, because they're going to come. But if each cycle you're just thinking of one or two things to really focus on for those 12 weeks, and that's a great way to kind of break it down and to go through it.
Yeah, I think probably the only other thing I've really changed up is, as I'm not getting any younger, is, and then again, if you sort of pushing the boundaries there, is I'm probably a little bit more careful around my recovery. I think that, really focusing on the recovery gave me the most recent greatest gains. Macros, water, recovery, being really religious about that. And I think I worked out, I think at the cycle we did at the start of this calendar year, that was something that I wasn't very consistent with. And so made a real point of being really consistent with that. I put on about 5 pounds, all the lifts went up, all my performance benchmarks increased, and I don't think anything really changed around my training other than that. So that can be a real missing piece of the puzzle, where you've just got to try and be consistent 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's the gas in the car, right? That's what the recovery is. And if you have this amazing car, but it has no fuel or it has crappy fuel or whatever, it's just not going to work out. And I think, that's been my own personal journey too, is focusing on recovery the last several years, initially starting with just simple metrics and then getting more obsessed with that over time, to the point now where it's like we have the EO3 elements, and I just feel like that's such not a negotiable part of training. It's like, if you want to see results, these are the prerequisites, and there's nothing else that you can do about it. Is there any one metric in particular for you? You mentioned a few there that was like, immediately noticed like, oh wow, I should have been doing this more often. Whether it's hydration, sleep, food. What was the one thing that made the most impact?
For me, it was protein in my macros. Yeah, diet. I think I had a pretty good diet. So I'd never really sweated the diet so much. I was never really looking to put on a lot of weight or lose a lot of weight, where diet's going to be a bigger focus. But I just literally did a diary for about a week and sort of looked at the numbers, and I was probably 30, 40 grams short consistently in protein. And so, you start wondering why, it's been a tough week. I'm getting really sore and, waking up sore and, hang on, I've got to do more stretching. And then, I changed up the protein levels, and that made an immediate impact. And so it all kind of knocks on, because, you're not as regularly sore, so you're feeling better. And so when you're feeling better, you work harder. When you work harder, you get better results, as long as you're resting.
Simple.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what did you do anything in particular? And the only reason I'm asking you one step further is because I get this question all the time. I even got this question on the webinar yesterday. A lot of people have trouble hitting protein, and doing what you did is like that's a great first step. Is like, first you have to be aware of how much protein you are or are not getting. So like journal it, log it. But then a lot of people are like, I'm not hitting my protein. What do I do? Was it as simple as an additional protein shake for you? Was there any food changes? How did you get that extra protein?
It was really a couple of adjustments. I think firstly you gotta plan it. I mean, we all have pretty busy lives. Fortunately, my wife is a military type planner, and so there are lists, and this is what's happening. So all I have to do is kind of dial into her, communicate to her, this is what I need, and so it would be programmed. But effectively for me, it was adding in another kind of like a shake or a meal in between meals, like particularly in the afternoons. And really just sort of to increase the portion sizes in many cases. Like, I might have 2 eggs for breakfast. 2 eggs ain't going to cut it. Like, that's, it's 3 or 4, big ones. And so it was just kind of being aware of, where the protein intake was at and what I needed to do. And so sometimes some of your food choices, you just got to make sure that, again, you might have a quarter chicken. If we're having chicken for dinner, it's like, no, you're going to have half. So it's just, it's just being prepared, having, little snacks, because again, you don't want to just be taking lots of shakes. I think shakes are great, as an in-between meal or post-recovery, that sort of thing. But, they're pretty highly processed food as well. So, you want to eat, you want to get some fiber, you want to get some veggies, you just got to look at the whole picture.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. I try to hold myself to the one. Yep. I'm allowed 1 protein shake per day to help supplement my protein. But after that, everything else needs to be through food. And that does make it a little bit more difficult. I mean, if people just wanted to get protein, I guess you could have 4 or 5 protein shakes every single day. And but I don't know. That just doesn't sit well with me for a lot of reasons. So yeah, I think that's important.
Don't fall into the TB12 Tom Brady diet of 3 shakes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it's not sustainable. It's not good for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, I'm gonna ask you this question, since you've been around for such a long time, didn't prepare you for it at all, but what is your favorite Meet Yourself Saturday workout?
Oh, so many favorites.
Do any come to mind?
Define favorite,
So not like the hardest, but one that you see come up and you're like, I mean, they're all a challenge, right? But if you're like, you know what, I kind of like this one.
The one I every time it comes around, probably the 5 miler. Long rows are my bag. So that comes up. It's like, yeah, I got this.
That's definitely one of the harder ones, and it always destroys my hamstrings. But I always feel like I definitely earned it that day.
Do you row it, Joe, or do you run it?
I've only ran it.
But you have a rower, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I know there's quite a few that I do enjoy though. Yeah, I think some of the more exotic ones, I think they're a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
no one will ever say Broken Arrow is their favorite.
It might be. No. It's just a lot.
What's with the? I think there's a lot of. I mean, what's with the programming, man? We had a what was that deload we just had? That was like a Meet Yourself Wednesday.
Combat.
Combat. Yeah.
Combat. I just did that. Let's see. From now on, it was 5 days ago. I did it on Friday, and my lats have just been loose enough so that I can reach over my head. But before, it's ridiculously sore. I couldn't even reach over my head. That's because my volume hasn't been up, but still, it destroyed me.
So I do that probably once or twice per year during a deload week. I throw in a workout that has no business being there. Because normally it's Murph. Normally I like to do Murph at the end of a deload week, but I didn't do that this time and did combat. So that one it's getting you ready for what's happening on, I think it's Tuesday of the new cycle. I think it'll be very appropriate.
Particularly after flight school, and that one is just
Yeah. If mainly on the Achilles. Yeah, that one's, if you haven't been jumping, that one, it's pretty tough. Cool. All right, well, let's get an update to some of these questions. What is the hardest workout you've ever done?
I have to pick a different one from my last podcast answer, but at the moment, so the hardest one that I'm doing at the moment, just because it's the only one that I haven't been able to nail at competitive level yet, is Patriot.
Yeah, Patriot is a brutal one. I saw that you had some tips in there the last time that we programmed it in for some people who are doing it. That one is deceptive because it has a short time cap and everything. I mean, most of the time I don't get deceived by workouts because I'm like, no, I understand how this one's going to be. But almost every time with that one, I go to do it and I'm like, why is that so hard? It's
that's my mission. That's why I've been working on the clean and jerk. like it's not a heavy weight, but you do that 100 times in 30 minutes. You have to be on point with the technique and the pacing and
Yeah, I'm good. Like through 50 to 60, I think everything's just about perfect, and then the wheels kind of fall off towards the end because you start getting worried about the time cap, and you're like, oh, I got to move faster if I actually want to do this. And so it turns real brutal real fast.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Last 20 reps for me is where you just can't. It's just like it's not happening.
Yeah, and you don't want to apply ego over fatigue and try and finish because the clean and jerk's no friendly movement if you're not being careful with it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer. If it's ugly, if you can't do it right, then just stop.
Yeah, 100%. All right, now has this changed? In your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
Coaching your wife to do garage gym workouts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've talked about this on the podcast. I don't even try.
Yeah. So I see you've got the women's track out now. So that's pretty cool actually. That's really exciting. So I've floated her past the idea. She looked at me funny and was just like, "You guys are mad!" Like, no way. Well, and I'm like, "No, it'll be different."
No, she should get in and like, if you need any help after that, we could talk afterwards. But if she just wants to like look at things, not commit to anything, I think that now is a great time to do that because she could check it all out, see if it's something she's interested in. But I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah, there's a lot of long-term athletes that are getting their wives into it.
Well, baby steps. So I'm excited. She's in the gym and she's starting to deadlift, which is fantastic.
That's huge, man.
But
I'm happy as long as all my family members.
Toughness.
Yeah, that for sure. I'm normally happy if any family member just goes outside of my wife. Just if I can get them on a walking program for I'm good with a lot of people like who don't have the habit at all. Like I'm like you gotta do something. And that's a huge win if you can convince them because it's hard. It's hard to convince people who you're close to. Like it's much easier for me to go coach somebody or whatever. But like I think it was Ben Bickman I had on the Better Humanology podcast who told me you can't be a prophet in your own hometown. And that's like so true. It's so true because he's a PhD and he's like one of the leading researchers on ketosis and low carbohydrate diets, and he can't get his dad to do any of it. His dad won't listen to anything he says. And I'm like, man, I don't stand a chance. Like, I don't stand a chance. All right. If you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Last time I said sandbag, and I think I've probably touched the sandbag like half a dozen times since then. So, I'm actually, So I noticed Craig Lewis had, was playing around with one of those big Cerberus bags. I think on the Christmas. So I think this cycle I might start playing with the sandbag again, but probably that or a kettlebell. That's the one piece. I started my garage gym with a single kettlebell. Quite a few years ago, and then got another one, and then just kept going from there. But single 16 kilo kettlebell. That was the start of it.
That's awesome. Like I wish we could make like a time lapse video of that. That would just like standing in your garage, there's a kettlebell, and then there's like, barbell, flooring, like rack, all these things. That would be.
Oh, that's a good one. I might do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It'll be a rainy day project.
Yeah. Is there anything major you've added to your gym since we last talked?
Yeah, I think the one thing I was looking to get was a cage, and so I got a power cage. More recently, I think it was that I've had that almost a year now. I think that's you probably don't need much if you've got a set of squat stands. I had those for years, and it was great. But having the cage there really kind of gives me a greater sense of comfort, and it's probably easy to do more stuff with bands and things like that. But I missed a squat for the Fit Week test this week, and at what was it, 160 kilos. Yeah, I wouldn't have even tried that with the stand. I would have been slower. So it allows you to kind of push you a little bit with a bit of safety, and it's great. Bars are there, bang, just take it off. And
I went straight from squat stands to a cage, and that's because like my wife and I can squat at the same time, so we can face each other and be on the opposite sides. I haven't gone inside yet to squat. I figured next time I max out, I'll do that. It's like you've said it before, Jared, that it gives you more confidence. But for me, it's like, well, I have to come up. So, and you just hope you can.
I think that's my next purchase, because I just recently got a bike erg, and because I've been slow, like I haven't added a lot of pieces. Like over the last 2 years, I've added a pull-up bar, and that's just because I moved to a new house that needed it, and then I just got a bike erg. And I'm like trying to think of if I want to upgrade any equipment. I think a cage is my next purchase as well, primarily for what you're talking about, safety. Like I've been using sawhorses for a long time, and I'm really like I've been bailing on weight. I don't bail that much anymore. And that goes along with I don't want to. And it's not because I always lift it, but I'm probably not challenging myself as much as I can because I'm like I don't want to bail, because there's that chance that you won't be able to bail. And so I think a cage just makes a lot of sense from a safety standpoint. And I've said it on the podcast multiple times. I don't want to be the cliche or the ironic, garage gym guy dies in garage. So I think a cage would be a really beneficial purchase, and probably next on my list. All right, man. Well, you've been around for a while, and I want to know if the answer's changed, but I think it's going to be really well received from the community. So what is your best advice for anybody getting into training, garage gym athletes in general, or maybe specifically to our community, whatever you feel like giving the best advice for?
No, there's lots of advice. I think just follow the program is the main thing. Listen to the podcast. That's probably another one, because there'll be lots of great information around the program. And I think, it's always interesting to see when people start off, because I was exactly the same, is that you want to do every single rep and, all of the days in order of the workouts. I think look ahead and understand life's going to get in the way, and don't sweat it. I think, I still to this day, even though I've probably had a pretty solid and consistent, 6 months on the program at the moment, is I still probably miss maybe 10, 15, 20% of the workout. So you've just got to go with it, I think. But I think the podcasts give you lots of help. Listening to what all the athletes say, there's lots of great resources out there as well through the website. So I think it's just jump on and don't be too pedantic about it. I think just enjoy it. That's what's going to give you the long-term results.
Awesome. Well, Al, it's always a pleasure speaking with you in any capacity, whether it's through our Facebook community or on the mic like we are now. But I do appreciate your time and for being a Garage Gym Athlete, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure to chat, and shout out to the H2K OGs, the boys out there, Trampus, Asher, Rylex, and all the other guys that keep me motivated and like to hang a lot of crap on me. But yeah, happy Fit Week, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.